It appears that Eric has just told me that Jamal Bowman has officially lost. Eric said that they just called it. Let's go ahead and bring it up on the screen, and I'll tell you why I think that this happened. It just aligns perfectly with our story tonight. So if you look down here, you'll see it's 58% in District 16, but they've already called it, which typically means the other areas that are left, they are already saying would go towards Latimer. So Jamal Bowman received 44.9% and Latimer received 55.1% of the vote. Now, it was just perfect timing that this happened the way that it did. But I want to explain to you why I think Jamal Bowman lost. It just fits with the story. AOC and Bernie Sanders were out there campaigning for Jamal Bowman. There was a rally to help bring out the community and increase support for Jamal Bowman, because you guys know that AIPAC has heavily attacked his campaign. Latimer is their guy. So this is their way of getting back at Jamal Bowman for supporting the Palestinian movement, even though at the same time he took money from J Street before. He's taken money from the Israeli lobby before. He's also supported Israel as well. So he tried to walk the fence, and I've said this before, you cannot walk the fence on this issue. The Palestinian people deserve self-determination. You cannot walk the fence on this. Now, here's the problem. The Justice Democrat strategy has immensely failed. Problem is, like, these are people that were supposed to go into the Democratic Party and push back against the establishment. Didn't work out so well. They decided they wanted to be careerists instead. And what you found along the way, instead of them pushing back on the Dem establishment talking points, they decided to try to fit in with Dem party leadership. And that is where they went wrong. So by doing that, they end up riding the fence. And sometimes on really significant issues, whether it's Israel and Gaza, Russia and Ukraine, the railroad workers wanting to go on strike. AOC was just out here campaigning for Joe Biden in Las Vegas before she showed up to Jamal Bowman's rally. Watch this.
This week marks the 2-year anniversary of the catastrophic Dobbs decision. 2 years since 6 conservative justices toppled Roe v. Wade. Since our right to choose was taken from us, and pregnant women and people across the country have had their lives at risk. It's been 2 years since our freedom over our bodies was seized by the most corrupt Supreme Court in American history. And that court itself was appointed by the most corrupt president in American history, Donald Trump. And it is.
Now, you out here fighting for reproductive freedom, right? You guys see fighting for reproductive freedom? You're out here fighting for reproductive freedom, and the people that you're campaigning for are dropping bombs on kids in Gaza. You are out here campaigning for reproductive freedom, and the people that you are promoting are dropping bombs on kids in Gaza. I guess reproductive freedom doesn't matter. Reproduction doesn't matter when it comes to Gaza. The hypocrisy of it all. You are endorsing and supporting President Joe Biden, who is continuing the genocide in Gaza. Then you want to run over here to New York in the Bronx and come out there and tell people to get out here and campaign and help Jamal Bowman. You want to support the genocider on one hand, and you want to support someone fighting for the Palestinian people on the other hand, who also was still trying to be pro-Israel. You can't sit up here and clap 2 hands together in politics, boo. You can't have it that way. You can't have Israel on one side and Gaza on the other side and clapping your hands. They don't even have a 2-state solution. But I remember when people like AOC said she didn't care if she was a one-term politician, but here she is trying to be a careerist. How else do you explain this? I'll let her finish here. Then we'll get to the Bronx.
Precisely because of Donald Trump and his corrupt court that women and girls and pregnant people have less rights today in 2024 than our parents and grandparents did. And we will not stand for that. And Nevada, I will tell you, and I know you already know, that if he wins in November, you better believe Donald Trump and a Republican Congress will pass a national abortion ban.
Has Donald Trump said that? I don't think Donald Trump has said that, though. I don't think I've ever heard, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, guys. I don't think I've heard Donald Trump say he would pass a national abortion ban. I remember him saying leave it up to the states. But they got to run on reproductive rights because they don't have anything else left. You guys see what's happening here? Again, this is what the Joe Biden, the Democrats are planning on running on, is reproductive right while you're killing kids.
Now that alone is enormous reason why it is crucial that we re-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as President and Vice President of the United States.
So that was AOC there in Las Vegas. Now, she was in Las Vegas promoting Joe Biden, the genocider in chief. And then she hopped over to the Bronx and trying to help Jamal Bowman and telling people AIPAC's trying to take down Jamal Bowman. You were just at an event with the largest recipient of AIPAC money from the Democratic Party, and you are promoting and endorsing this man. You were just there promoting the guy who's taken over millions of dollars from the Israeli lobby. Then you hop over to the Bronx and you tell people, help, Jamal Bowman's being taken down by AIPAC. We got to help Jamal. Riding the fence. This is ridiculous.
What's up, everybody? We are just a few days out till the election day, our primary election on Tuesday, June 25th. But the good news is that the polls are open right now, and we are here for our brother, Jamal Bowman. We want to turn out the vote. I don't care if you live in New York 16 and are turning out to vote for him. I don't care if you live outside New York 16. We are texting our friends. We are turning out. We are calling our friends in Tuckahoe, in White Plains, in New Rochelle, in Yonkers, and telling them to vote for Jamal Bowman.
Ceasefire now, y'all. That's what we're doing.
Right.
Ceasefire now. Let's get it
That's
popping.
right.
The polls are open today. The polls are open tomorrow. Make sure you get out to vote. Election day is Tuesday. Let's go. We need record turnout all across the district, especially in Yonkers, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, Co-op City, and Edenwald. Let's get it popping. Let's change the world. It's the many versus the money. We're going to win.
Right.
Let's go, baby.
We're going to win. We're going to take on AIPAC, and we're going to kick some Wall Street ass. So let's go.
Stop the bombs.
How are you going to take on AIPAC when you were just endorsing the guy who takes the most money from AIPAC? How are you going to fight AIPAC on one hand and shake AIPAC's other hand? How do you do this? How do you tango with AIPAC and then kick AIPAC out your house? You can't have it both ways. Once you're in bed with that organization, you are in bed with that organization. There is no, I'm not a part of you, but I'm a part of you and I'm still going to support you. That's not how it works. Now I want to take you back. I want to take you back to a time when Jamal Bowman's constituents tried to talk to him multiple times. Because you see, when we get to the crowd that they had at that rally, that embarrassing small ass crowd, I want you to understand why that crowd was as small as it was. Because Jamal Bowman got comfortable and he didn't want to listen to his own constituents when they tried to talk to him about what was happening in Israel and about the way that he voted. This video was last year. This was either March or February. This is before October 7th. They had issues with the way that he was voting. Back then, he didn't want to listen to them. Listen to what he said.
Because the other side is very organized, very well resourced. For what?
Right now, it's not live.
Listen to what I'm saying. You just want to say what you want to say. Listen to what I'm saying, please.
We need the dialogue.
Oh, you know, listen. You asked me a question, I answered, now I'm giving you some feedback, some advice. If you want it or not, you don't have to take it. Okay? I'm in Congress every day. Okay? I see the power of the other side. We don't have that power. When I make a statement, when I take a stand by myself, me and the squad, there's no one else in Congress with us, and there's not many people outside with us. Are the squad really? Hold on, stop.
So what he's saying here is he said when he's in Congress, he is by himself. There's no one but him in the squad. We don't have any power. But they did have power. They had enough people to have a narrow majority, which is a part of the DSA handbook where they actually mention when you have a narrow majority to the point where it can actually affect legislation, you are supposed to use that narrow majority. They didn't do it. They wouldn't do it during Force the Vote. They wouldn't do it during voting for the Iron Dome. They wouldn't do it for funding the Capitol Police. I can come up with a number of them, fam. They didn't want to do it for the railroad workers strike. That was them turning their backs on the workers. There's a number of examples where they had a narrow majority and they chose not to do it because they were listening to Democrat leadership. Now he gets frustrated with the people who confront him. But Jamal Bowman lost tonight. And if Jamal Bowman would have been listening to his constituents, and maybe if they saw him actually fighting, maybe Jamal Bowman would still have his seat.
Looking to be super critical and listen to what I'm saying. We got to organize the people here to speak out on the issue and push elected officials here to speak out on that issue. And that's what we have to do.
We need to make a stand. What did you vote to get on that?
Come on. Because I'm trying to be strategic and play the long game.
He's trying to be strategic and play the long game. How'd that work out tonight?
Human rights.
Listen.
The people that are being massacred by Israel cannot wait.
Everyone heard that? She said the people who are being massacred by Israel cannot wait. Again, this took place last year. I got to check the date on this. It's February or March of last year. This was way before October 7th, which again, as I've been trying to tell people, they were killing Palestinians before October 7th. Jamal Bowman wanted to vote a certain type of way, but then he didn't like when his constituents would confront him about the way that he voted on these issues when he knew as a so-called progressive, he was not supposed to vote for those things. Let's continue.
Do you even know what I've done since I've been in Congress on this issue? Do you know anything I've done since I've been in Congress? What have I done? What have I done since I've been in Congress on this issue? What have I done since I've been in Congress on this issue specifically? I mean, I'm here. Y'all don't know. So you look for what I didn't do, but you don't look for what I've done. What's the minimum standard?
Minimum standard is voting no on the
Do you know
Iron
Betty
Dome.
McCollum's bill that she introduced in 2020?
Doesn't matter. Were you incapable of?
Come on, man. All right.
So the Iron Dome, let's think about this. This is a very good example that she brought up. That was back then. Voting no on the Iron Dome. Remember how they split with that? Remember AOC voted president and then she started crying all these tears or whatever. But that was the minimum. That's what she was telling him. She said, Jamal, voting no on the Iron Dome was the minimum. Look at where we are now. This was before October 7th. He voted for the Iron Dome. So you can't, seriously, as a person who is a part of, at that time, he was still a part of DSA. You are not supposed to vote yes for the Iron Dome. The DSA called this out after the voting happened. You were not supposed to vote for pro-Israel policies. You were supposed to vote for policies that would help the Palestinian people. This is word for word verbatim in the DSA handbook. And every time they voted in a way that was against what the DSA said in their handbook, the DSA would issue a statement every time. That was the bare minimum.
Okay, but why were you willing to vote yes on the?
That's one vote and one
That
time.
is a huge vote.
What about the other stuff that's been
People are
done?
being massacred.
What about the other stuff that's been done and what I've said?
Does that affect?
You don't even know. You can't even point to my record.
I can point to the record that I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
but you just point on one thing. I can give you 5 other things I've
Yes,
done.
that's a crucial thing.
I can give you 5 other things I've
Are
actually
you going
done.
to, are you going to
See what I'm
stand
saying?
against removing all Israel aid?
Look at me.
I assume that's a no.
Even then, didn't want to vote against removing Israel aid. See, and there was another time when he was approached by Roger Meadows, friend of the show. This was during the time, again, this is all around the same time frame. This is during the time when Joe Biden was threatening to privatize Medicare. So listen to this. Listen to the way that he speaks to Roger. Watch this.
He started this program and he's putting Medicare on the verge of taking into Wall Street. I want to know what you guys are doing about it. So it sounds like to me this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
So if you can't really hear, I'm going to tell you what he said because I've already listened to this a couple times. So what he's saying is that Joe Biden is trying to privatize Medicare. So Roger said, yes, it is him. Okay, yeah, I thought so. Roger in the house. He's saying Joe Biden is trying to privatize Medicare. And he's asking Jamal Bowman, I just want to know if you're going to do something about it, because it seems like this is the first time you're hearing about it based on Jamal Bowman's reaction. Now, let me fast forward a little bit here because you don't need to hear my commentary from back then.
Don't approach me with this energy, man.
See, we doing something. Sorry, right here. Because he got really mad. He got mad at Roger. Yeah. Look, watch.
You doing something?
I gotta stay. What are you doing?
Don't worry about it, man. Don't approach me with this energy, man.
See? So that was when Jamal Bowman said, don't approach me with this energy. So this is Roger Meadows here on the left. Let me fast forward a little bit more so you can see more.
Approach me with like respect. So I haven't heard of this.
He said, approach me with respect. This is how you do it. Say, hey, here, I'll take it back. Listen.
Bring to your attention, in case you don't know, there's this thing called and it's something you should look at because I'm very concerned about that. Do it that way. Don't approach me trying to back me in the corner and you got somebody recording me.
You should be backed into a corner at this point because you guys have been ignoring independent media up the wazoo. You guys have been doing everything that you can to avoid having these conversations, the tough conversations, taking tough questions. This was the only way that you could kind of get their attention because they were avoiding obviously independent media, but also their constituents.
Okay, which looks to be doing the same kind of stuff.
Now, someone explained this to me. He said that he hasn't heard of it. He heard of Medicare Advantage, which seems to be doing a similar thing. Who's in office? Roger Meadows or Jamal Bowman? Why is it that we know about this, but the people who are there don't know about it? And this isn't new, because I'm about to show you an article that was written about this over a year ago. So you mean to tell me Jacobin, the Lever, me, all the rest of us who have reported on this, that Joe Biden's trying to privatize Medicare, you mean to tell me all of us knew, but you sitting there in Congress and you didn't know? Let's go on.
So the CPC just had a meeting about it this week, and I'm working with CPC members to figure out what we're going to do.
All right, you should definitely look into this ACO.
I definitely will.
It's putting Medicare giving it over to Wall Street. It's the same crap that Obama tried to do with Social Security, treating CPI.
Yes. Okay. No, for sure.
So you can't hear the whole thing, but I just basically tell you here. So Roger was trying to ask him, what are you going to do about this? Joe Biden is trying to privatize Medicare, and it's not like that was the first time Roger has tried to get in touch with one of the members of the squad. So the thing is, they make it almost impossible for the grassroots base, the people who actually went out there and helped them canvas and all that kind of stuff. Then it was like, once they got in, they make it almost impossible for you to be able to reach them. Someone said, Skylar said, Jamal Bowman has done independent media like Mark Lamont Hill show. Yeah, when was that? Recent? When he was running for re-election? Because you haven't seen any of these people. Look, they ain't got to come on this show. They didn't even know me back then. I didn't have a show back then. But you ain't seen none of these people on Bad Faith podcast. AOC, Jamal Bowman, Ilhan Omar. I think Rashida Tlaib may have gone on to Katie's at one point. But for the most part, they avoided independent media. Yeah, he came around to Mark Lamont's Hill show because he needed help trying to get reelected. Because it was that bad for him. And as you see, he just lost. So, but they avoided us. They actively avoided the left independent media space. And I know a number of people that were reaching out to them and they said, the people in their office told me like, no, they're not going to do independent media. There's a lot that this goes back to. Now, Old Crow brought up a really good point. Shout out to Old Crow. He said, brother, holler at us when you are independent and away from the compromised duopoly. Half of your peers take AIPAC money, and that's why they aren't coming to your support. One of the high-level leaders of the part, Hillary, endorsed your opponent because Israel said so. Brother, no, we will not support you if you are going to support clowns like Biden and Jeffries. It is no Democratic or Republican party. It's people that do work for Israel. These are all Democratic leaders, but you tell us about Republicans, it's irrelevant. Both parties are compromised. So that's a really good point that Old Crow brought up there. And this is the people, right? So George Latimer, Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries. And when he was campaigning, he kept saying, well, the Republicans are coming after me and the AIPAC's sicking the Republicans on me. These people are Democrats, fam. These are Democrats that are taking money from AIPAC. So that's why I pushed back on this. And I said, until you call out Hillary Clinton, until you call out your buddy Hakeem Jeffries, even though y'all were trying to start some hip hop day, priorities. Until you call out Chuck Schumer, I ain't trying to hear it, fam. I ain't trying to hear it. AIPAC is not exclusive to the Republican Party. And then you were endorsing Joe Biden. I will imagine that all of them, probably except for AOC, I think AOC is winning hers, are going to struggle. I think Cori Bush will struggle. I think Ilhan Omar will struggle. Jamal Bowman just lost. We'll have to wait for those two races too. I think they're all going to struggle. Exactly. Thank you, JB. The call is coming from inside the house. It's just, and it's, again, some of this has to do with, I feel like Justice Democrats just kind of let them go. It's like they got into office. There was no mentorship from what I understand from Justice Democrats after all that. And then they just got swallowed up. This part right here from Ajamu said, this is sad. And I want to show you this crowd because this is sad. Look at how small this crowd is for this rally. Now, this was for AOC and Bernie Sanders, not just AOC. Some of us remember the crowd that AOC and Bernie Sanders spoke to in 2020. Or was that 2019? It might have been the year before. Maybe it was 20. No, I think it was 2020. In 2020, over 20,000 people. How you go from that to this? Where are all the people? They're in the Bronx. This was in the Bronx. People faded away because you guys, they lost hope. They lost hope in you. Then you got Bernie Sanders being a whole ass clown. Then he gets up on the stage and he says this. I told you they're trying to both sides this Israel-Gaza issue. Listen.
Guts to take on the fossil fuel industry. Transform our energy system and save this planet for our kids and our grandchildren. And Jamal also understands that what's going on in Gaza today is totally unacceptable. Israel had the right to defend itself against a terrorist attack.
You hear this? This is Bernie Sanders.
But it does not have the right to go to war against the entire Palestinian people. Guts to take on the fossil fuel industry, transform our energy system, and save this planet for our kids and our grandchildren. And Jamal also understands that what's going on in Gaza today is totally unacceptable. Israel had the right to defend itself against a terrorist attack, but it does not have the right to go to war against the entire Palestinian people.
Afeni sums this up very well. Thank you, Afeni. Afeni said, I'm embarrassed I ever supported Bernie Sanders. Listen to this.
Bernie Sanders, AOC, step to the front, step to the front, step to the front. So in the year of our Lord, 2024, okay, this past weekend, I heard that y'all were at a rally where Bernie said Israel has a right to defend itself, okay? And I just really want to ask Bernie, the 21,000 children that the UN reported missing because of this genocide, is that self-defense? Or is the 355 rounds that were fired into a car that had a family, including a 6-year-old girl named Henry Job, is that self-defense? Is it self-defense when the imaginary state takes our tax dollars, the bombs that were made by our tax dollars, and drops them on tents? No, for real. Is it self-defense when the imaginary state and America poisons aid packages that are being given to Palestinians? Is that self-defense? Y'all are participating in genocide denial. Y'all are participating in genocide denial. AOC, Bernie Sanders, Jamal Bowman, you are participating in genocide denial. Stop playing in our faces, okay? Oh yeah, and by the way, that Project 2025 shit, wrap that shit up. America was founded on genocide and fascism. This has never been a democratic country. This has never been a democratic country. A Republican president has not won the popular vote in over 40 years, but yet we have Republican presidents. This country has never been a democracy. And let's be so super real, the only reason why y'all care right now is because the fascism is going to affect white people. Because for black and brown people, for Palestinian people, but we've been living in a fascist country. The way this country operates outside of our borders, it's been given fascism. So I do not care. I'm not voting for Genocide Joe. I don't care if AOC, Bernie Sanders, I don't care who the fuck tells me to do it. Hell no. And you shouldn't either. Period.
So it is official that Jamal Bowman has lost his re-election. And I warned people that this day was coming for certain members of the squad. And everybody said I was being a Debbie Downer. Sorry, but I was telling you the truth. Jamal Bowman voted against the railroad workers. Does everybody remember this? I covered that on the show. Jamal Bowman voted for the Iron Dome. Jamal Bowman voted for funding the Nazis in Ukraine. I can't. Yes, I understand that his district did change. Totally get that. But I also know that if Jamal Bowman would not have voted in such a way, and he took a lot of tremendous heat against people, he got pushback from DSA when he tried to go to Israel. There were a number of things that he did that were just not in line with DSA or what it means to be a progressive. If Jamal Bowman would have pushed back the way that he was supposed to as a member of DSA, Jamal Bowman still would have had the grassroots behind him, whether his district changed or not. Jamal Bowman did not have the grassroots behind him. anymore. You saw the small ass crowd. The grassroots left. And some of the members of the squad, when they got into Congress, they became a little bit too comfortable. AOC has become, her ego is so damn big now. You can't even talk to this woman without her running away from you if you got a question and you're her constituents. They became very smug. They got these big egos and they became almost impossible to even talk to. They weren't one of us anymore. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Big money sucks. But until you get corporate money out of electoral politics, this is always going to be a problem. I've said this for 2.5 years now. But if you have a large grassroots base, you can fight back against it. But if you lose the grassroots, you will lose. It's a mess. But it happens. This is why you can't sleep on us. You forgot about the grassroots. You forgot about those of us that canvassed for you guys. Those of us that made phone calls, knocked on all these doors just to get you in there in the first place. You didn't want to talk to us. You forgot about the people that were your ride or die. You guys start hanging out with Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, got really cozy and all that kind of stuff. You were supposed to fight back against those people. And I want to address this here from Skylar. But Sabby, they didn't really have the numbers. The Dems had a narrow majority, but not the squad. The squad had the numbers to force a vote for Medicare for all. They had the numbers. They had the numbers not to let the Capitol Police funding legislation pass. They split on that. They split on the Iron Dome. They had the numbers for those things, and they chose not to do it because Nancy Pelosi told them not to. We can't continue. You can't make excuses for them. They heard from all of us. Where was Jamal Bowman when he was contacted by activists for the Medicare for All marches? Where was Jamal Bowman? None of these people wanted to hear from us. All these people ran on Medicare for All. When we were having marches all across this country, where was Jamal Bowman? Cori Bush showed up in DC and said she didn't like what we were doing. What the hell was that? You ran on these things. So you cannot abandon the grassroots and expect them to still come out and defend you. And people have demands. Within our lifetime, that's the name of this group. Solidarity with Palestine can no longer be a hollow commitment. Politicians need to meet the bare minimum if they claim to be allies to our movement. Rescind endorsement of Biden. Anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism. Defend Palestinian right to resist. Those are their demands. And you know what? None of the members of the squad meet those demands. Jamal Bowman doesn't meet those demands. Jamal lost tonight. You can't abandon the grassroots ever.